Loud. Okay, well, thanks for joining. It's Monday, May 16th. And I'm not feeling that great. I caught a cold and kind of like also have an emotional hangover. So I'm gonna describe what that is feeling like. So we're also going to be discussing the tools for step 3 also. I want to make sure you guys know that because I have all that prepared, but I did want to share something. Okay, here's Shannon. So let's see. Shannon's connecting. So I'll just kind of describe the emotional hangover. So I realized, oh, my sister's here. I'll probably have to edit this video a little bit. Hey, Chris. So I was just going to describe, I was in the shower this morning as I always get my reflection time with God in the shower. And I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling outside the fact that I'm not feeling well just from a cold? But when I feel sick, I tend to get upset with myself. I'm like, it's like this kind of shameful feeling like, oh, because I'm sick, I won't be able to accomplish all the things I wanted to do. And there's lots of psychology behind that about, overachieving and things like that. But the emotional hangover, I think, came from wanting, it's a people pleasing thing. It's a validation, dopamine addiction thing. So some of you guys are friends with me on Facebook. I'm building a pool. And there's a whole process with building a pool, and it's really fun. And you're taking pictures and sharing it on social media. And there's kind of like I'm getting addicted to that attention of it, and I'm like I'm starting to feel like hot, like the highs of the moment and really low lows. And also I'm not much of a housekeeper anyway. It's kind of like I have to clean when I know people are coming over, but lately I just can't really keep up much because of my husband being in school and taking on more of caretaking for the children, and also the pool being done. And my mom and my dad are really involved with the project. So my parents are here a lot more, and my mom consequently is here a lot more. And one of the things that I'm finding myself getting really stressed out is that I don't feel like I can be enough for my mother's standards of like keeping the house a certain way. And it brought me back to growing up in the church and being taught, that people are the flock, Jesus's flock. You serve the people. And that is your main purpose on this planet, is serve the people. And I had realized early in my recovery, a year and a half ago or more, that people became my God, that I believed in God, that he was there. But because my primary purpose was to serve people, I made people my God. And it took me a minute to differentiate that. And I realized that I kind of was making my mom God last week. And Facebook. I'm like, oh my God, I'm untangling myself from this weird thing and looking over my tools. And step 3 is just like the most amazing coping skill thing that came to recovery. And we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God. But like my real higher power, not the one that I'm treating people like my higher power. So having untangled myself from that and becoming more aware, that really helped me. And I'm feeling less crazy, a little less crazy. Because in the shower, I'm like, God, why do I feel so bad? And I'm like, okay, well, for one, I'm sick and that's okay. But also, you know, like my real higher power, that's the one that I'm surrendering to. And I'm so exhausted, I think, because I've been trying to please these other gods in my life. So yeah, anyway, but I'm open to feedback about that. If you guys have any interesting thoughts. I've also poured my heart to my sister about this. I'm sure she's laughing a little bit in her.
Love it. Kim, I love how you named it God. I mean, that it's just your ego, right? And your ego of, because that's exactly what I've been going through this week too, because I'm going through therapy again. And boy, I needed to hear that you made your mom God. That's what codependency is. Huh? I mean, that's what I've done with my God. I mean, with my mom too, is doing that. And controlling outcomes. That's what my ego does, is try to control those outcomes. Anyway, I just really like how you named it, but in a way that, yeah, I've never named it like that before. It makes it a little bit more serious. And I think for me, it's like ego is that you're, or whatever you like, if you're making your mom God, you have to be on all the time. You have to always, because keeping up your ego is a lot of work. But yeah, it's just, instead of just being love and light, who you really, really are all the time, instead of just trying to do stuff for others. Yeah, because there's no way, Kim, that you could ever be bright and shiny enough for others, ever. Yeah. Anyway, I like what you shared, because this is really, yeah, this is what I've been learning too, but you did it in a different way. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
thanks, Jeannie. Yeah. Isn't it? It's so weird. Yeah.
That's really amazing. It's so funny. I'm like, I go through the exact same thing you're talking about. And I was telling myself today, I said, why can't you just love yourself and take care of yourself and fall in love with yourself like you do like everyone else, you know? So today I did something I've never done. I took myself on a date. So this morning I said, okay, I'm gonna go for my walk. But it started to rain. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to lunch. So I took myself to lunch, and I got myself some Victoria's Secret because I had a gift card. And now I'm actually at the mall, and I'm in like one of these massage chairs, and I'm actually getting a little massage. And, you know, I said, Shanna, how do you fall in love with yourself? And I was saying, on my way to the mall, I kind of did a voice recorder, and I said, these are some of the questions I'm gonna ask myself, because, you know, I work for my sister, and I put that job above anything. Even though I only work 20 hours a week, it's like I care about like her company more than she does. So I asked myself, what if there was no CTI, the name of her company? What if I didn't have that job? Like, how would I spend my days? You know, what would I like to do? And I said, wow, I would look at the water on the beach. I would, I think, you know, I was just trying to think about like, what do I like to do? Like, what is I love eating out. Like, I love to cook, but I love going to a restaurant and just ordering and things like that. And so, and then I was thinking like, well, Shannon, what do you love about yourself? Like the real you know, not the way that you act, but what do you really love about like you? So this morning, it just doesn't make sense, because I sure enough know how to love everyone else. I mean, I could do that hands down. So when I got up this morning, I looked up codependency in the emotions book, and it was I've read it 50 million times, and Melaleuca came up for the oil. And then I looked at some of the other characteristics. Some of them were like boundaries and things like that. And it was like clove and Melaleuca, petitgrain. So I just decided today, like, I have a meeting with my sister's company at 4 o'clock. So I said, until then, I'm going to keep dreaming. Like, what if it was just my day? Like, what would I do? And so that's, I just wanted to encourage you, like the way that you're feeling, these are the things I think through every day. I'm like, what is going on? And I just keep being patient with myself and just asking God to just please help me learn how to, fall in love with myself and take care of myself. You are not alone with that.
Thank you, Shannon. We appreciate it. We like that you love yourself. Maybe you should just do it every day for 21 days and make it a new habit in your brain.
Hey, I wanted to say something else because this is something to you, Kim, because you have imaginary lollipops and rainbows in your life too. Yours are dolphins and mermaids and everything.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something that my therapist said to me. And she said, we don't need to have any effort in changing other people's opinions. And my vision, and to you, Kim, your vision really is just for you. Those imaginary dolphins and, all those things that you see in your life, they're not for anyone else's benefit. They're just for you. But when you practice self-acceptance and love, then everyone you interact with will feel the love and the magic that you already see inside. You have that vision and you just need to be you. And that's how they will get to see those things that are your gifts. If you just keep that vision for you and be you, then it's all going to spill out for them.
Thanks, my friend.
Anyway.
Appreciate it. So what I've been sniffing this morning, in the shower, I'm going to tell you guys because I wasn't feeling good this morning. And I was also thinking about how tea tree or melaleuca is, it's the same thing, just melaleuca is the Latin word for tea tree. In the shower, if you take a few drops and you rub it into your hair, it feels really good. Like it takes away that sick feeling or a percentage of it. And I also took Breathe. I took a couple of drops of Breathe and I also rubbed that into my head with the conditioner. So, like it's sitting and it's soaking into my brain. And I was praying and that was when I realized I'm like, oh, weird. I have to get rid of my golden calf godmother. And she's just a person. So, yeah, it's interesting. And then right now, because I got oils all over my desk, anybody that knows me really well, I'm not super neat. So, and when I have gotten organized with my oils, because right now I've got little stations around my house and I know where the oils are. So if I put them all away, I'm like, where's all my oils? For me, it doesn't make sense for them to be all put away, because they're not accessible. But I just picked up Magnolia. I've got this cute little roller that I got in a pack, I think a couple of Mother's Days ago. Magnolia is hitting the spot right now. And I know Magnolia is one of the ones that are really high in a chemical constituent called linalool. Not the bad linalool, there's a good linalool. And that's the one that helps your brain feel more peppy. It's good for depression or feeling sadness. So anyway, Magnolia was what I picked up right now. I was gonna share my screen and show you guys some of the writing for step 3 in the Coda Green book. It's this one here, if you're interested. And let me share my screen so you guys can see it. Is this the right one?
What page are you
33.
looking at? Okay, thank you.
Is this the right? Yeah. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Let me let Teddy in because he's going to keep growling. Come on, Teddy. Sorry. Little dog problems. Okay. So we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood God. So the Serenity Prayer is my coping skill that I learned from step 3. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And when I'm in pain, when I am over the top, way too much on my plate, I can say, okay, currently my life is unmanageable. So we know that from step one, right? Step one is we admitted we were powerless over others and that our lives had become unmanageable. So if I'm starting to feel like my life is unmanageable, step 3 says, oh yeah, duh, I'm going to turn it over to God because I need to have trust, you know? Oh, I got this out of another 12-step book that I was reading this morning. I'm doing a lot of research on workbooks because I'm writing my own. This is a friend of mine, Kitski Hawk, and she wrote yogic tools for the 12 steps workbook. And on step 3, the recovery concepts are faith, willingness, trust, and commitment. So trust, meaning I got to let go of the control so that I know that tomorrow and even just minute by minute today, God has my back, my God of my understanding. So anyway, so step 3 offers us the opportunity to make a decision and to have faith in power, in a power greater than ourselves. Many of us begin working this step with small things, such as making a decision not to fix someone, letting our feelings just be there, or trying not to control just for a few minutes at a time. As we experience the benefits of working step 3, we find ourselves more willing to trust in the care of a loving higher power and to experience faith. Would someone like to read? What's interesting
If no one wants to, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, read.
You want me to just go on the next paragraph?
Yeah, it's the second paragraph.
The primary purpose of this step is to begin living our lives in a new way. Finally, we have a tool that works and provides the freedom and acceptance we were incapable of finding through self-will alone. Yeah, this step suggests a willingness to live in this decision. We surrender ourselves to a higher power of our own understanding. When we do this, we can begin new, more satisfying relationships with ourselves and others. As we develop the courage and willingness required in step 3, many of us will come to acknowledge and believe that we are part of God's plan, and we become increasingly capable of knowing ourselves as how God and not others intended us to be.
Thank you.
Go
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, here you go with your gods. As codependents, our gods often have been powerful forces. We may have been ruled by fear, anger, resentment, guilt, and a powerful urge to take care of or be taken care of by those we have invested with authority to govern our lives. In step 3, we can begin to let go of these powerful forces which have controlled us and align ourselves, our thinking, and our actions with our higher power.
Oh, I can read the next one. Letting go can be seen as a decision to trust in a higher power. Letting go can be seen as living in this power's will and doing our best to take whatever actions are necessary to take care of ourselves today, without attempting to control results tomorrow. It can be frightening to trust in something we cannot see and to have faith that all is happening on schedule, especially when we have been unable to trust our parents or our other authority figures through our childhood years. However, I need to put my glasses on. I keep losing my spot. However, most of us find this struggle to trust well worth our efforts. We can accept our fear, ask our higher power's guidance, and practice faith. In this way, we give ourselves permission to begin and to start expanding whatever amount of belief we have. Can I get another reader?
I can read if you want.
Yeah.
Some of us believe that making a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God meant that we need to give up ourselves. We thought we wanted and felt. Indeed, for many years, we often did lose our sense of self and autonomy. Our fear of this may cause great resistance. Many of us find comfort in those who have walked before us when we see and hear how this step transformed them into the people they wanted to be. We can allow ourselves to be cradled in care and in faith. We can learn to be present and a present moment and live God's will for us. We can let go of trying to control and making things okay because these ways no longer work for us or protect us. We can find the courage in a higher power, the ability to be who and what we are. We can develop faith in ourselves, and with the help of a higher power, we can learn to understand that our answers are only for ourselves.
Mhm.
Want me to keep going?
Sure.
Hold on, let me show you.
I can read.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
I was hearing where we like, could you read the last part? Because my phone is kind of small. It was something about like the answers to ourselves. That was the thing I had the question about.
The last paragraph.
We can find courage in a higher power, the ability to be who and what we are. We can develop faith in ourselves with the help of a higher power, and we can learn to understand that our answers are only for ourselves.
Yes, that's the question I had. The answers are only for ourselves. So is that what Jeannie was speaking about when we know what we need to do, or we have the answers and we try to help everyone else with them instead of saying, wow, I'm grateful I have the answers. Let me take that advice and help me. So I was just trying to get clarity on that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you had Crystal reread that because I missed it the first time. But it is a powerful statement. And the first thing I
said
would do
that.
is I would want to tell somebody my answer and they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, really? You don't like it?
It's
Yeah,
so
you
funny
talked
because
about that, Kim. Oh, I remember you talking all about that. How, well, I know though, because I know these answers. I'm the expert.
Yeah. Well, and I think really very different than other people. It's influenced a lot by like pop culture and like movie references that I've got like stored in my brain. So a lot of times my input is real strange to people and they're like, what? I'm like, just kidding.
I had done an experiment. Because what I found that I do, even when people don't ask, I automatically just give the advice as if what I would do. So I did an experiment where I didn't do that. Like I didn't give advice unless they specifically asked me, what do you think about this? And in my opinion, people were used to me just kind of intuitively, or, and most of them kind of like that they didn't have to ask. I would just pick up what they needed. But when I stopped doing that, people were like, well, you don't talk as much anymore, or they would just keep talking and I would not intuit what they needed me to ask. And I like being that way. I like just listening and not really saying anything unless they specifically asked for my help.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it weird when we do that? Because it's like, so how often it's like that deep listening thing that if we're just automatically thinking of the solution that they need, then we can't really hear exactly what they're saying. Because I feel like we miss a lot of the psychological bits that are, that we would hear, but it's so freeing. Like I have a friend on Facebook that he's got some neck injuries, and I think normally, because I have neck injuries too, I'd be like, oh, listen, this and this. And I was like, let me know if you'd like some suggestions, because he knows that I know. Like, that's all I have to say. So hold on, my husband, the pool guy is, go ahead, you guys keep talk amongst yourselves. Sorry. Okay, let me read this last part and then feeling a sense of urgency, feeling that we may have to do something different, or feeling resentment can all be signals that we need to let go and work step 3. Positive affirmations support us in learning new behavior. Using these affirmations to replace the old tapes in our heads can open us to a higher power's will. Learning new behavior takes time. We can give ourselves permission to be human. When we let go, miracles happen. We begin to feel the rewards of the program and this step. The more we trust in the process, the more we're able to let go. We can learn to practice patience and acceptance. Our lives translate into results when we accept step 1, have faith with step 2 guiding us, and let go with step 3. We make the decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, our higher power. As we understand this higher power again and again, constant vigilance in our program appears to be essential for codependence. As such, many of us find great freedom in the daily action practice and renewal of step 3. Just like, when you go to church every Sunday, or you listen to meditation, or you go to meetings, or you read the Bible, or whatever that you're doing, you have to be reminded constantly. It's what helps you come back to balance and be present. If we're human and we're living in these deer trails that we've made, these neural pathways of habits, you're going to go back to default unless you're reminded to get back on track. So that's what this community is so important, and to find your other communities where it helps you be reminded so you can get back on track. So this is something that's in that codependency workbook, the tools, some things to think about. Sorry. Because the pool thing, I've got this like sensory overload thing happening at my house with like people and dogs and kids. It's interesting. So just looking at this might be interesting to you guys. In my step group, which I still highly recommend if you're going through the steps, to get a step group, and also attend CODA meetings or any other 12-step meeting. Then you can kind of like go through some of these questions or just journal them. So yeah, I found this. I can, I'm putting all this kind of in a file, and then if you want me to share it to you, or unless you already have the workbook, just let me know and I'll send it over to you. I was going to mention something to you guys, because this morning I'm like, what is it that I need to do to make myself feel better? So part of my holistic coping skills is using the Aromatouch technique. Now it comes in a box like this. So I'm like, okay, I need to like do the oils, because that's what really helps me feel better. It's what I do on my kids. And it's got a lot of the oils that work with the Essential Emotions book for when you're feeling like that, like you need to surrender. You're like, okay, let's get back to the tools here. So for me, it's take a shower, use my oils, pray. Community, being on this meeting really helps me feel better, makes me feel understood. Talking with a trusted person, and yeah. So if you guys haven't seen the Aromatouch technique, there's videos on it. Especially if you get the kit, you'll get the video series, and at the end of it, you actually get a certification. So I like that. Then yeah, and then you can review the videos. The best part is if you do it with a partner, because then you're like, yeah, let's learn together. You can do it on me. I can do it on you. So anyway, you guys have any thoughts you want to share? Anything rolling around in your brain you want to share?
I wanted to ask you, do you do it on your back or your hands, or what are you doing with the
Right
Aromatouch?
now, I'm gonna put it in my hands and just breathe it in. And probably a good idea to try to get it on my spine as much as I can. So, if I'm doing it on myself, I'm just gonna reach and try to get as much as my spine as I can. So
Okay.
that's generally how I do it. But do it, we're getting into the warmer weather. Make sure that you use the oils on cold skin. So if you get right out of the bath, your pores are open and that might burn. Make sure you end your shower a little bit cold so it closes your pores, or don't do it like right when you get out of the sun, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one's balance, which I really, really like. Oh, I did want to share something with you. I did an interview recording with my friend Christy, and she's a longtime yoga instructor. She's the one that builds my website. And she was telling me some of her coping skills as a codependent and getting back in the moment. So when she's feeling like, somebody did something and she wants to like tell them how to do it better, or she feels like the need to tell somebody advice, or, along those lines, controlling others in general. She puts one hand over her stomach and you breathe in your nose and a long exhale. The longer exhale you can. And you kind of like push the air down your throat and try to feel it in your abdomen in that exhale. So put one hand on your belly button and then exhale. So you do that 10 times. And that's going to really bring you back to the present. So the cool thing about breathing is that you can't breathe in the past and you can't breathe in the future. You can only breathe right now. And it's really helps you come back to the present moment. And coupling the oils with that is going to help calm your brain really well and help retrain yourself to not, what do they say, that if you're in, there's all these funny little jokes that go with, if you're in the past, if you've got one foot in the past and one foot in the present, that means you're pooping or one foot in the future, you're pooping on the present. Because the legs. Anyway.
Hey, I have a question for you, Kim. Anyway, giving advice to people, because I'm a lot like that too. I mean, I'm hugely like that, where I just want to tell them my own revelations that have come to my life of what works. And what about sharing a link with somebody and saying, oh, I love this. I thought you might like it. What do you think?
Well, I think that you might need to have I had something I want to share with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's probably. What about your own kids? I guess it's the same.
It still goes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh.
I mean, through my mommy issues, I'm like, okay, really what this is about is me accepting myself. Because now I'm imagining, okay, if I can't, I'm 35 and I'm still struggling with my mother and thinking, what are my kids going to be thinking about me? And like my mom wasn't an alcoholic or an addict, and I am. Like my poor children. What are the things they're going to be thinking later? Like if I can't stop and take a breath and accept me and then accept my mom as who she is, and like what expectations can I have, for clearing up other relationship issues? It's like, I know that in this process, it's still a process. Like my marriage is getting better. So now the next thing is like, well, you've still got this relationship that needs some work. So it's like, I'm being presented with the next thing. Am I going to stick with the same cycle, which I'm not learning my lesson? It's a Groundhog Day issue, like Bill Murray. Or am I going to learn the lesson and then Bill Murray gets to move on at the end and marry Andy McDowell, and leave Pensacola. It's in Philadelphia with the groundhog. Anyway.
Jeannie, though, sending like a link, if you just send a link without asking, like, are they going to open it?
They might.
Well,
mean,
my kids
like when
do,
people send
but
stuff and I'm like, oh, well, I don't have time for this. Like, why am I going to read it? Like, but if somebody
yeah,
said, like,
yeah.
oh, I really thought of you when I read this, and like, if you are,
Yes.
you're open to reading it, I might be like, oh, well, I should probably read it, you know.
Well, I usually share an explanation, but that's the other thing is I like to, but I also love sending quotes to people who I know would probably really appreciate them. But is that just still too much of my input?
No, there's a difference. So if you do it when your cup is full and the overflow of the love that you share with the world, that's not you using your sharing as a way to have self-worth. If you're filling your cup up with helping people, and that's how at the end of the day, you're like, I did my part.
Mm.
You know what I mean? There's a difference. If you do it to fill your cup, or if you just do it from the overflow.
I've never thought of doing it for the other thing. I just like it when a thought pops into my head. Oh, so-and-so would love this quote that you just read. That's when I usually share, but I don't know if every single time if that's me or if that's God saying, here, you might want to share this with them. I don't think I do that with the like filling up myself by helping others. What I do, I think, is maybe control, controlling outcomes or something. I think I do that more than think of that, oh, this makes me feel good. No, that's not why I send something to somebody. I think, well, see, my kids laugh about this because in fact, we have a whole video that is on YouTube about this that's private, but it's kind of funny because it's how it's all my kids know. Here, I'm getting ready for the day. Anyway, all my kids know that this is what I'm guilty of doing, and I've done it forever because I get so excited. Like somebody else say, the thing that my kids kind of did this thing where they were imitating me, and it was a big laugh fest at like midnight. We were all laughing, and they were. The one thing they said was, my daughter goes, oh, let me tell you about this this Chinese restaurant I went to. And then the other person, and then imitating me, where I say, oh, no, I know the best. I know the best Chinese restaurant ever. Oh my gosh, you guys, like, you have to try this. Okay, that is, I know it sounds overboard, but that's kind of like me. That's what I do. And like, it's not needed or wanted. I just think, oh, my enthusiasm's spilling over. And no, it's something else. And I don't know exactly what it is. I don't do that so much anymore because I've recognized, yeah, that's, it's controlling or something. I don't know. You guys can analyze me.
Well, it's just you.
But isn't that what you're talking about though too? Because I'm trying to,
Yeah, I mean, you might be being a little hard on yourself. I think there's instances where it might have some sensitivity around it, like if you're in a situation where, maybe the person didn't feel heard because you kind of one-upped it. Or, but there's other times where it's okay to be you and, like have enthusiasm, but I mean, letting people have their thing before you like reciprocate the thing on top of it, but
yes.
I mean, we all have like stuff that we have to learn to love about ourselves and not worry about if other people love it too. There's so much, of being like, I know that you love that about yourself. You have amazing enthusiasm and joy for life. And for me to say, well, Jeannie, if I were a psychologist, which I'm not, like there's a reason why you and me connect in a way, because we both have super bubbly energy, you know?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
part of me is like that. I'm wondering about the things about myself that other people don't like, but what isn't this supposed to be where I'm okay with who I am, and the people that don't like it, well, I mean, it's like weeding them out.
Yes.
Like,
And my kids, they don't care about that. I mean, if they thought it would hurt my feelings, they wouldn't have said it, because it's just, they were doing all the mom impressions of me and trying to make me laugh. And that's what they do is, just let's see how much we can make mom laugh. And so, yeah, I don't feel, I just was wondering, I'm trying to analyze myself going now, if I'm offering stuff to people, am I not supposed to be offering that kind of stuff too?
maybe just in the moment, be like, am I doing this to control them? Or am I doing this to, fill my cup? Or am I doing it because, I know that they'll enjoy it? Like, if you can identify it maybe as it's
Right.
happening, like I used to
Yeah.
spend a lot of my time, like when I was on Facebook, I was like reading people's posts. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person's got fibromyalgia, or this person's got I have to send them. And I would spend so much of my energy. And then, like, by the end of the day, if I didn't get something back from it, I'd be resentful because, like, oh, I spent my energy doing something. Like, so I know my situation is different than yours, but that's kind of, I was filling up my cup with the expectation that I would be appreciated.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, many cases I was, but I was
Okay.
completely exhausted.
Yes, it's your motivation. Right. It's exactly. So for me, it's just being loud and obnoxious, and that's just my personality, where I just let it all spill out. And so I'm not really trying. Well, maybe I am trying to change somebody's mind. I don't know. I guess that's the thing, is looking at what's the motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's fun to figure out. But I've been trying not to overanalyze so much, because I've been like, my mom was like, aren't you tired? Because I've been doing like so much thinking when the things that I talk about. I think she's just really worried to talk to me now, because she's like, oh no, like, because I've put up so many, not so many, but just actually 2 boundaries that she's just like can't handle having any boundaries on the conversation we may or may have. And I don't really want to be the person, my boundaries are not other people's responsibility. They are there to help me be comfortable in my relationships. It's not other people's responsibility to worry about my boundaries.
And it's not your responsibility. Their reaction and their emotions are not your responsibility either.
Yeah, I mean, there's healthy boundaries I need to have, like with my marriage, and things like that I will maintain and I will uphold, that are, to keep me safe. But if they're just small little things that I know have to do, like they're like little chords on my PTSD guitar. If people hit a chord, that's my responsibility to be aware that, oh, that little string leads back to this timeline in my life. It's not to do with that person. And so that way I do not react in a PTSD reaction. I can go, huh, that's interesting, because that makes me feel like that time, So, there's just lots of ways and lots of things to be aware of. But I'm really grateful that you guys you're here and you're showing up for yourself. And I mean, going through this process and using your holistic tools, this is like how you can see, like, where in my life are things becoming unmanageable? How can I untangle it? How can I reconnect with my higher power? So that at the end of the day, the scales are going to be a little bit more balanced. If you're overwhelmed, oh, that was something I wanted to share real fast. I know we're kind of going over time. I pulled it up. I showed it to Crystal. I kind of want to write an article on it and add oils into it. It's this. Can you guys see it where it says if feelings could talk? Yeah. I just thought it was so cute. So, if sadness might be telling me I need to cry. Loneliness might be telling me I need connection. Shame might be telling me I need self-compassion. Resentment might be telling me I need to forgive. Emptiness might be telling me I need to do something creative. Anger might be telling me I need to check in with my boundaries. Anxiety might be telling me I need to breathe. Stress might be telling me I need to take it one step at a time. So, if anything, take that with you today,
Awesome.
right?
See, I want to share that with somebody.
There you go.
I
Anyone-
just screenshotted it and I'm printing it off.
Yeah.
I like it.
I feel like writing an article though on this. I'm like, how can I turn this in,
Yeah.
like on each line, because it's so
Yeah.
compassionate.
Mhm.
So
That would be good, Kim. I have to say, I love your analogy of your PTSD guitar. Did you think of that yourself? That's awesome.
I did.
That's amazing. I wrote it down. That's so good.
Thanks. Yeah. There's so many little chords. Another one, this isn't mine, but my therapist had said every time you feel a feeling, it goes into a drawer, a file cabinet drawer. And every time you feel that feeling, the file cabinet drawer slides open. You're like, oh no. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close this up, but this recording eventually it'll be available on my website. I'm gonna be sending out an email in the next day or two that'll have the link to all the previous recordings and the articles that were written, in explanation. So you'll be able to share those or just review them. So appreciate you guys. And
Thanks, Kim.
yeah,
See you later.
have a great day. Loving all over yourself. Thanks, Shannon. Bye.
Bye.